Hello, today we're going to be going through the Worldbuilder and the terrain packs as part of our unboxing of the Company of Heroes board game series. The Worldbuilder was one of the last things that we added to the Pledge Manager. This is designed as a map building kit, and it's one of its primary purposes is that it not only will players be able to build their own maps and really create custom maps, but it gives Bad Crow Games this really powerful tool to continue to create custom maps and scenarios and post them online for literally years to come, because so many people are getting this Worldbuilder pack. So, and we will also be creating and posting online scenarios and missions just for the base game. Of course, the mission booklet's like 20 different missions and scenarios, just scratches the surface of what's possible with just what comes in the 4-player set, let alone having the Worldbuilder. So the Worldbuilder is a fairly simple pack. It's got a bunch of these really huge double-sided map tiles. One side's done in winter and one's done in summer, and a lot of times they are the same type of item, but so here's a watchtower in winter and summer, but that's not, in order to create like a larger variety, it's not always like that. And so sometimes you'll be drawing from summer and winter tiles at the exact same time. So it's a lot of it is some terrain and just some basics like snow tiles that let you fill in gaps and remove different obstacles. Some of it is provides cover, but some of these also are very specialty buildings, like an MG bunker that adds AI damage to anyone who's inside. These windmill type specialty buildings, like this windmill, it still serves as a building. It's got heavy cover all around, and only infantry and machine gun units can go inside, but it adds a sight and a range. So I'll have items like a lot of things like that. Repair stations that repair adjacent vehicles, footbridges, medical station. If you can see there. Lots of bridges, because we have so much water in here, like changing a bridge can dramatically transform a map. Okay, here's the summer map. So you can see it has some built-in terrain. It's got the bridge and a river for you to kind of work off of, rather than it just being a 100% blank slate. But so it just provides a little bit of structure. Now, of course, this river could be filled in with various landscape tiles, and can be modified like that, or you can add in extra. Here's a footbridge, so only infantry vehicles can't go across it based off of this symbol here. Throw in some extra buildings, perhaps some destroyed buildings, to create some general like barriers and impassable terrain. There's a lot to work with from here, and I think a key goal of ours will be to draw upon the community experience. So we're dedicated to creating a place online where players can submit their maps according to a little template. It'll have the setup, the scenarios, the resources, and as well as the terrain. This is, so there's the summer map. Let's take a quick look at the winter map, which I like even more. It turned out really, really great. And these maps will tile very, very well with the summer-based maps of the base game. This one goes perfectly with 3 points and works really well with Monastery and even Hill 3331. Hill 331 is kind of a sort of an in-between map. It actually tiles pretty well with summer and wintry maps. It has a little bit of both of those elements. Okay, and here is the winter map, which turned out pretty beautiful. There's some extra specialty rules that go along with this map, because we've got built-in campfires as well as roadway systems, so you can really very easily utilize a heavy snow system that makes it harder to travel unless you're on one of the roads, bridges, or railroad tracks, as well as you can have heavy storms that come in and they create attrition unless you're adjacent to one of these little campfire symbols. But also we have all these great snow-based map tiles that work really seamlessly with this particular map, or you can add a lot more frozen ice using the frozen ice rules, where if you're attacked on ice, there's a chance that you fall through the ice and you're destroyed. Some examples on here is you could line the riverbanks with destroyed buildings, or with buildings that you can enter. You can actually just block off areas of the river itself if you want to cut down the amount of frozen river that you can travel across. Add extra bridges, maybe some repair stations. This is a good place for a bridge right there. And just have a lot of fun assembling and building these maps. Most of these tiles come in duplicates, so that it will help you with your map balance, so that you can always create symmetrical maps, which is kind of a big aspect for the Company of Heroes board game. Everybody's equidistant from a similar point. So one of the more powerful aspects of the World Builder pack is not just the creation of totally custom maps, but it's the modification of our existing maps. Our existing maps have all been heavily tested and tweaked, and there's a very complex and precise underlying geometry and pathing and route system and balance to it. And because of that, just changing a few hexes can dramatically transform the map. For example, if we add a couple of aid stations here, that would create some powerful changes. But then if we went so far as to create new bridges and then put one right here, and all of a sudden the whole path and the routing of how everything shifts from one side to next and choke points is dramatically transformed. You can put a watchtower in the center right on this victory point. It will still be a victory point, but now vehicles can't enter and infantry inside have cover as well as extra sight and range, so a highly defensible center victory point. You can put these rally points on either side out to the wings here, and so that you can retreat your units to the side, so it's very fast and easy to get to these side victory points, which means we'll have a really intense front line there and a lot of battles occurring there because people will be able to reinforce that area very, very quickly. Oh, here's the other one. And then you can transform this semi-urban map into a more densely populated urban map by adding more of these buildings, maybe a couple destroyed buildings to create a more intricate and dense fighting system. And that's not even necessary. You don't even have to put those 6 tiles down, and the entire 3-point standard map is dramatically transformed in its play style. So that's why we're really excited about this World Builder and the fact that most of you are getting this, because it gives us as designers an endless toolbox to continue to support the game by launching official map modifications as well as entirely new custom maps. So we, which we're dedicated to doing, we will have 2 completely custom maps using the summer and winter maps from World Builder, as well as 2 modified maps of 3 points and Stalingrad. And I think Hill 331, we have that one fairly well developed and tested, but we need to do a little bit more. Anyway, we should have all that available online by the time you receive the game or shortly thereafter. So that is the World Builder pack. 2 pretty beautiful maps and a lot of these nice little map tiles that are sometimes just generic terrain or very, very specialized terrain. So let's get into the terrain packs next. Here is Ruins of War Terrain Pack 2. Now, if you're getting the British Emplacement pack, you will get the Terrain Pack 2, British Emplacement pack and Terrain Pack 2. They all come in the same box. For efficiency's sake, I actually already opened this up, so these British Emplacements actually come bagged. We did unlock the extra British Emplacements. So here is the Terrain Pack 2 combined with the British Emplacements. The British Emplacements are designed to become like a British mortar emplacement or a British anti-tank gun emplacement or the Bofors emplacement, but they can also be used for other purposes like commander cards who create MG bunkers. There's a couple of slots in here for your 2 upgrade dice if you're pretty substantial, and there are 8 of those now because we unlocked some through the Pledge Manager. And then here is the massive Cathedral. which just turned out great. And so you access this Cathedral. We have it in two parts, so it makes it a little bit easier to get inside and out of it to access these 2 points. And like that. And then this, of course, you can put infantry units up in the top. And then we have this fun little broken tower element designed off of our cover image, actually. And when you destroy that building, the bunkers are bunkery. They're massive. I don't know how heavy they are, but they're really, really huge. They've got double health slots so that you can have bunkers that go up to 12 health. Most of our bunkers, the destructible bunkers in the mission book, have 8 health, which is like double a regular building. So it comes with 2 of these guys, as well as 8 of the destroyed buildings. Or like empty, like bombed out shells of buildings. But these really help to note when you do destroy a building, then you can just put this on there, and it denotes that it's broken and it blocks line of sight. And when you have a lot of these laid out, like on the Stalingrad map or any of your custom maps, it creates a really cool war-torn look to your battlefield. So that's Terrain Pack 2 and the British Emplacement Pack. Oh, you know what we didn't show you was the Bofors. As you can see, that's pretty cool. It's a really powerful unit for the British Emplacements because it has 3 range, 3 AI, or great upgrades to 3 AI. And so it just locks down a large swath of map whenever they create one of those. And that's Terrain Pack 2. Next video, we'll get into Terrain Pack 1, which we covered, but we'll show it in action. All right, and let's finish up our unboxing series of videos, which was hours and hours of filming because there was so much to go through, with Terrain Pack 1. I think 96% of everybody is getting this, which is kind of nice. We can just sort of assume that you have this, although we do have the tokens and whatnot to support you if you do not. So as we saw in the first video, really great pack job in here. We've got this tray in here for all of your flagpoles, which may be hard to see in there. There we go. So you can see a little close-up of these guys. So they all turned out pretty good. Nice detail. These were all Kickstarter stretch rewards. Let's take a look at this razor wire. This was a particular, we didn't have this model figured out during the Kickstarter, so we weren't quite sure if it was going to turn out this good. In fact, I think we said we weren't going to do it, but people talked us into it, and it's easy to get, it's easy for us creators to get sort of excited during the Kickstarter as is for backers, and maybe become a little overzealous in coming up with new stretch rewards. Anyway, beautiful, right? That's really, really great. Let's take a look at actually let's pull out some of these buildings first. And let's pull out our tray of flagpoles. So that's nice. We didn't even order this tray. This was we have a really great sourcing partner in Hong Kong named Miles Fu, and he comes up with nice little touches like this. And just kind of comes up with some creative little solutions as they arise. Anyway, those are all your flagpoles, really nice. There's a couple discrepancies on the back of this. I'm just going to warn you now. We'll also talk about it on a errata list, and I think we have it on our insert. There's just some miscounts. There's supposed to be, it says that there's 13 flagpoles, there's actually 12. It says there's only 6 buildings, but there's actually 9. A few things like that. Just so you're not confused when. So we changed up these flags several times. Such a simple thing, right? This flagpole, but these turned out to be a little too thin. Sometimes these were the flags were hard to put on. Anyway, this simple little item actually saw quite a bit of revision. I'm having a hard time having it focus, but let's just put it on the table. So here's where you put your flags, and then when you capture it, you just slide your flag on like this. And then there's some extra stickers / decals that you can put onto these flags if you want to put some symbols on here or differentiate them. Anyway, these are really pleasant to play with. And the buildings we've covered before. These went, I think if you were part of the process, you remember how much revision we went through these, and we wanted to create a ability to put people inside here. Or if you don't like the look of that, we have this little slide on so you can keep it as a solid building. And with our larger hexes is what allowed us to do square buildings. Before they were hexagon, which I thought were a pretty elegant design, but they weren't super thematic for World War II. So now we have these rectangular buildings that fit into the hex very well. There's maybe a millimeter or two of overhang in order to make this fit with the unit trays. So if you're playing, most of the maps are designed so that most maps do not have more buildings than you're going to get, more than 9 buildings on there, but some of the larger ones do, and you'll have to use this, but very, very few of the maps, and possibly some custom maps will have more. But for the most part, we kept these standard default maps so that you will have a building for every single spot, and to help you create some really great scenes and thematic scenery while you're playing. Not a lot more to go into on that terrain pack. I think we've covered it a lot in other times. Let's just do a little. All right, let's do a little close-up on terrain pack 1 so you can see it in situ. Really add some nice 3D elements to the game. As a game designer, I'm a little bit more focused on game mechanics, but it is pretty cool to have this chrome. Here's an example. You can see the clear trays. They just create a real minimalistic look. Here's a building with some infantry on it, so you can see that it fits the infantry really well. And then we have much better pip dice holders right here so that you can move. This tracks the building health, and you can move it around without it falling off. The old versions, they kind of fell off pretty easily. As you can see here, the sandbags, you can build these. We included more sandbags because you'll be using more of them, because you can actually completely surround yourself in sandbags, while a single razor wire or a tank trap will you only have to put one on there to mark it, but the sandbags are directional. Sandbags provide heavy cover to any infantry behind there, and the tank traps, of course, stop all vehicles from entering the hex, but they can blow it up. And then razor wire, this is like the version of the razor wire from the video games, like the OKW razor wire, where it actually stops light vehicles. I think OKW in the video games is the only one who actually has that ability, but it's like enhanced razor wire. But for the board game conversion, it just fit a little bit better. These Terrain Pack 1, Terrain Pack 2, and Worldbuilder are not perfectly perfect. Actually, I think Ruins of War is perfect. Terrain Pack 1, as you can see here. Now, these are not quite as orange as they look in this lighting or on camera, but they are a bit orangey looking. So these are supposed to be like sort of blood red. So that's not perfect coloring there. You might want to paint those, although they do really help mark your control points really well, but it kind of irritates me. It looks like a safety vest or something, a fluorescent vest. Also, in the Worldbuilder, I didn't cover this before, but I am not a fan of the water tiles. The frozen tiles are great. The water tiles came out a little greenish. Actually, it looks kind of blue compared to that, but in reality, in this lighting, it actually doesn't look this blue. It looks a little bit green, and I don't really like it. And also, we broke a cardinal rule of the board game manufacturing. The hex tiles have some of them have cover lines on the outside, and you're really not, whenever you're doing a punch board tile or token, you're not supposed to have geometric shapes around the borders, because if the cutter is off by even a millimeter, it like really exact. You can really see it. It makes it very, very noticeable because you got a thin cover line here and a fatter cover line here. So that happened on some of them because we thumbed our nose at that tradition, but I don't really know how else we would have put cover. I mean, our cover is always on the edge of the hex. Anyway, pretty small blemishes on an otherwise really nice looking terrain and map kit system. Anything else to cover on this? I think that's about it. And that concludes our Company of Heroes unpacking. If you have any comments, of course, put them in the, if you have any questions, or post it in the comments, and we'll try to answer them. And we'll keep you updated on when we are actually shipping this baby to you. All right, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.